Hey guys, Tammy here. And in this video, we're going to talk about finding solutions in child custody. Now, let me tell you, this is a recurring problem that I see in all of us. Every single one of us, myself included, in the beginning of this process. And what I really want to do in this is give you sort of this mindset shift around it, because when you start looking for solutions, you will usually find them. And that's the good news. Okay. So we're going to talk about why we aren't looking for solutions, what keeps us from looking for solutions, and how we can make that shift. Now, before I dive in, let me just remind you, as always, if you like my content, please hit like on this video. Also, subscribe to the channel so that you get notified as new videos are released. And if you are one of the 70% that are not subscribed to my channel, please show me love. Please click subscribe. I show you love by creating the content. You show me love by clicking subscribe. That's how this exchange works, okay? So it helps me out a lot. If you could do that, I'd be really, really grateful. So when we are going through this process, and probably the closer to the beginning that you are, the more I see this happen. Usually as we move through it and we process emotions, it gets a little bit better, but not always, because sometimes when you're dealing with a high conflict ex, it just goes on and on and on, right? It feels like it never stops. Like, I've got people in my group coaching program. I have one for moms and one for dads. And I have people that have been with me 3-4 years, because this is just a never ending process in dealing with a narcissistic or high conflict person. And they constantly need that support to sort of keep their head screwed on straight, as one of my clients calls it. So I'm happy I can do that for them. But let me just say that in the very beginning, especially, and sometimes when things get tough, we get very problem focused, okay? And we tend to want to go into the court or whatever expert we're dealing with, and we want to lay out all the problems that we're having with the other person, okay? And the thing about that is that it's almost like, okay, court, let me tell you all the things that are wrong with the other person, and then I want you to just solve them all for me. It's sort of what we're asking, right? We're going into the judge and saying, here's my whole list of all the things that I'm upset about, and I want you to fix it. Or maybe you're doing that with your attorney. Here's all the things that I'm upset about, and I want you to fix it. I will tell you that it's very important that, first of all, you understand that there are certain things the court can fix and there are certain things the court can't fix. So the first thing that you have to be able to do is sort of discern when they can and can't help you with an issue. All right. And what happens is, when you see everything as a problem, what do you find more of? More problems, because what we focus on expands. So when you start trying to look for solutions to things, suddenly you start finding more solutions. And I have this experience a lot with clients where they'll say, well, I just don't know what to do. I'm having this experience with the other parent. And it's like, okay, well, let's brainstorm. And I'll do this with clients sometimes. Like, let's brainstorm. Let's, you write everything down that could be a potential solution. There's no bad answer, even no matter how stupid it sounds to you, whatever. Brainstorm and write down every potential solution to a problem that you can possibly think of. Even if you don't think it'll work, even if it seems ridiculous to you, whatever, okay? And then you can start to move yourself into that mindset of problem solving rather than just complaining about what all the problems are. Because when the court comes at your case, that's exactly the mindset they're coming at it with. Okay, what are the problems in this case, and how can we take steps to try to solve them? That's really what the court's trying to do. And in many ways, you often have more ideas about a solution to that problem than the court even does. Why? Because you know your family, you know the dynamics, you know everybody's schedule, you know how the whole thing works. So you're actually more likely many times to be able to create the solution or potential options for a solution than what the judge could even come up with. It's like if you go into court and you need a parenting plan and the court says, okay, well, there's no red flags, so there's no reason for you not to have 50-50. Okay, California's a 50-50 state. Not all states are, but where I am, it's a 50-50 state. So let's just assume that's what we're working with. And the court says, okay, no red flag issues. These kids are in school. They're 6 and 8. We're going to go with a 2-2-3. Boom, there's your schedule. Okay, well, wait a minute. One parent is a firefighter and works overnight 24-hour shifts and is or somebody's a flight attendant, or somebody's a police officer, or doctors or nurses, or people that work odd schedules and things. That 2-2-3 won't necessarily work for you, right? Because then the children are going to end up in daycare a lot or with a babysitter, right? And then they could have spent that other time with the other parent. And then you could have taken some of the other time that the other parent was given, right? So that 2-2-3 may not necessarily be the best solution for you. It's one of the standard solutions that the court applies, but there may be reasons in your family why that's not really a good solution to the problem of these kids need to see both parents. Okay, so what are some potential solutions? Well, I work nights every weekend, Friday through Monday night. Okay, well, one potential solution would be for, you to have Tuesday through Friday until you go to work, and the other parent to have Friday through Tuesday when you get off work, right? I mean, that's one potential solution. All right, we could employ a nanny. I could move in with my parents who are going to help and keep the child while I'm working overnight. There's all kinds of different solutions you can come up with to that problem. But my point is that the court isn't always going to know what those potential solutions are. Does the court know you can move in with your parents and get that help? No. Does the court know if you can change your schedule at all? No. Do they know if you can go to days? No. Do they know if you can afford to hire a nanny? Nope. Like, they don't know any of those things. So a lot of times the solutions need to come from us, but we're so focused on, well, the other parent doesn't show up consistently, and the other parent doesn't take their time, and the other parent doesn't do what they need to do, and the other parent doesn't da-da-da. Okay, therefore what? What do you want the court to order? What's the solution to that? If one parent isn't showing up for their parenting time, can I force them to do that? Not really. Even if I'm a judge, I can't really force them to do that. I can make an order that they do it. Are they going to comply? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Ultimately, if they don't, what happens? Well, you've got the kids. That's what happens. And you've got to figure it out. And you know what, you guys? I was left in this situation many, many, many times where my ex either just didn't show up, showed up late. It was like the responsibility of the children were on me 100% of the time. And if he showed up and he decided to take them for a period of time, whether that was a few hours or overnight or whatever it was, despite us having a schedule that he didn't comply with, then, okay, fine, he took them. But then I had to be prepared at any time for, okay, he's going to bring them back. He's going to drop them off. He's changed his mind. Whatever the issue is. And I may have to take them back at a moment's notice. I don't know. Or he may keep them the whole weekend. I don't know. It depends on him. He's just not reliable in that way. Wasn't back then anyway. Again, can the court really give me a solution to that? Not really. Not really. I have to kind of figure that out on my own. And so when you go into court, I want you to not just sit down and list out all the problems. I think that's what we tend to do. We tend to write these declarations and we've got all these problems listed out. And we tend to think of it in that way with our attorneys also, like, here, dear attorney, here are all the problems, right? And if you notice at the very end of your court declarations or pleadings or whatever, the attorneys will usually have a little section where they say, therefore, I'm requesting the following. And they'll request the orders that they're asking for from the court. And if you notice, those orders are not usually like real granular orders, right? About people's conduct and that type of thing. It's generally like, I'm asking the court to order a 2-2-3. I'm asking the court to order the following parenting schedule. I'm asking the court order that the parents exchange the children at 6 p.m. I'm asking for a court order that, the parties split the fees for extracurricular activities. It's high level things that we're asking for, but it's usually granular issues that we're complaining about. Okay. And a lot of times those granular issues can only be solved by you. It's not really something the court can solve. So you have to look at things and go, okay, first of all, can the court even give me an order? Is there anything the court can order that will solve this problem? And, if we're dealing with alcohol, anger issues, there's things the court can, they will do things like they'll order parenting classes. They'll order anger management classes. They'll order a person to attend AA. You can ask for sober link. And again, this is where we get into creative problem solving, right? Okay, I'm concerned because the other parent has a drinking problem. Okay. And so usually it's a big list of all the incidences of drinking, how they've done all these things, past DUIs, all this stuff. Okay, cool. Now what do you want the court to do about it? Like the other parent not seeing the children at all isn't really an option unless that parent just continues to drink and screw up to the point to where the court says, okay, we're giving you chances, but until you actually comply with some of this, I can't give you visitation. That does happen. But in the first instance, you need to go, I asked a client this the other day, okay, what would need to happen for you to feel comfortable with dad taking the children? I was talking to mom on this day and I said, what would have to happen for you to be comfortable? And she's like, well, supervised visitation. Okay, cool. That's one possible solution. If you didn't have a supervisor, is there anything else, any other mechanism that could be put in place that you would feel comfortable? And she said, well, maybe if you had a sober link. Okay, which is like a breathalyzer, right? That you blow into like for, like usually within certain time frames of your parenting time. I said, okay, that's another potential solution, right? So let's brainstorm. What are all the solutions that would enable dad to have parenting time with the children? Because that's ultimately what the court's trying to get to. How do I solve these little problems and try to keep both parents involved to the extent I can? Now, sometimes a parent won't. A parent's like, I'm going to drink. I'm not going to get into AA. I'm not going to do any of those things. And the court's eventually going to go, okay, well, until you do those things, I'm not giving you parenting time. That's very rare. Most people will comply with steps and do things to try to regain the time with their children. I've only ever seen actually one case where it was a dad who just, and I've had moms that had alcohol issues, but this particular one, the only one I remember is a dad that was just like, he just drank and drank and drank, and he eventually lost all of his parenting time and didn't see his kids, and it was super sad. So the point is that you need to get focused on how to solve these problems. What are the solutions? Because we're so problem focused in our brain that we're not trying to figure out how to make this work. And some of it does involve some creativity. And, I have a lot of experience in doing this and thinking outside the box and figuring all that out. Many, many times I make suggestions and a client will go, wow, that's a really good idea. Yeah. Well, when you do this over and over and you come up with it, or you talk with other people and you brainstorm about all this stuff, you end up with a pretty good little toolbox of things that you can do. If you'd like to learn more about potential solutions to some problems that you're facing and don't know how to deal with, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There's a link on that page. You can book a time to speak to a member of my staff, learn more about my services, and how I might be able to support you on this journey. See you guys next time. We'll grow in number,